Five, four, three. Hi, everybody. Dugroz here with Dugroz Reports, reporting live from the Hampton Inn National Road in Wheeling, West Virginia. Welcome to my Saturday morning live. Today is Saturday, April the 25th, 2026. Good to see each and every one of you on board. So yeah, the background is different today because I'm in a different place than usual. So let's just go around and see who's on board. Obviously, I'm relying on hotel Wi-Fi. So let me know if we've got 10-4 on the audio visual going on here. I see Dad on a Mission, Nuracan, Yuri G, Family Travel John, actually able to catch the live when it's live since I'm in Central Time. Great. Rewards Master finally made it for the start of a live. Hey, cool. Nick says 543. Eduardo Vargas, how you doing? Glad to see each and every one of you on board this morning. If you haven't yet done so, go ahead and click the thumbs up button here, and we'll get things moving along as best we can. So yes, this is my April rip trip. Flew into Pittsburgh last night, drove to Wheeling, West Virginia, staying at what is arguably the best Hampton Inn in the United States, and we'll see how it's going. Luke says, what's up, boys? Let's go. And Tom Graber's here and drops one Dugroz Reports membership. Celebrate. Thank you so much. I've kind of lowered my voice a little because I realized when I started talking full voice that it's kind of echoey. Got to move the computer a little closer. I'm just dealing with the built-in microphone and camera, so maybe not quite as good this morning. Yankee Man 311 actually woke up early enough this time for it live. John pointed out there was only 7 likes. 29 people on board, though, so let's drive that up a little more. Travel, earn, repeat. Good morning, Doug and chat. Thank you. And apparently Nick got the free membership from Tom. That's awesome. Here's Timote. Good morning. How you doing? So even though I'm on the road, we'll start the morning the same way that I normally do. We'll go kind of around the horn in the world of points and miles here. I call it Dugroz data points, anything that has interested me. Because I was traveling yesterday, my preparation time was limited. So this will probably be a shorter live stream than usual. We'll go over some ways you can support the channel a little bit, but if you want to drop a super chat or super sticker in the meantime, you sure can. As normal, my standing offer, if you drop exactly $1.49 as it appears on the screen, I will give you 1,000 Dugroz points to spend at your discretion. There's also a tip jar link at the top of the URL. If you want to support me outside of YouTube, I keep a higher percentage of the proceeds that way. So here we go with the very first data point. Have you heard the news? Spirit Airlines has asked the government for a bailout to stay in business. I think I first heard that maybe early this past week. On Friday the 17th, it was first reported that Spirit asked the Trump administration for hundreds of millions of dollars to be able to stay in business. This is according to sources familiar with the matter. And then I just went out this morning to see if there was an update. And the quick update I found was Doctor of Credit. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have given proper credit. The first one was hat tip 1 mile at a time. And this update is from Doctor of Credit saying a $5 million rescue package is on the way, according to sources. I don't think that's official yet. If anybody has any inside knowledge, either because you're a administration insider or just because you pay more attention than I do, please let me know. So it sounds like Spirit will stay in business. Obviously, try not to get political on this channel. So whether or not you think that's a good idea, bad idea, or otherwise, looks like it's happening. Family Travel John says, I'm also at a Hampton Inn in an undisclosed location in the Chicago area. Eduardo says the stock is up huge. I'm assuming you're meaning Spirit Airlines stock. That's good, I suppose. And DEM raises hand saying, I'm on board. Kevin Hawthorne's here. Good morning from Lakeland, Florida. Good morning, Kevin. Glad to see you. Again, I'm in a hotel, so I can't be quite as gregarious as normal. If you've just joined in, I'm at the Hampton Inn National Road in Wheeling, West Virginia. And I'll talk a little bit about what I'm going to do on this trip as we move along. But we'll work on some more Dugroz data points as people kind of flow in here. 49 people on board. Keep on clicking the thumbs up button. We'll see if we can drive that up over 50. The lighting in this room is terrible. There's only one window. It's kind of like in the corner. It's not facing the outside wall. There's like a edge wall. It's kind of a weird room. It's like I'm wedged in by the elevator and stuff. Eduardo says, the huge, though. Oh, we got the mean streets of Wheeling firing up. We got a police car. Nope, ambulance going by. Yuri BSU's on board and says, good morning. Now, when Rewards Master made your live, please do an impression of him. LOL. I don't even have any reason to do it this morning, but this is usually how it goes. If I talk about like American Airlines miles or Flying Blue or Virgin, I will say, according to the Rewards Master, those points are super valuable. I don't know. Is that even a 6 out of 10? We'll find out. Let me know if you're still on board Rewards Master, how I did. We'll move on to the next Dugroz data point here. And it's time for a birthday. Happy birthday to my YouTube channel. 16 years on YouTube. What a milestone. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, 16 years? Doug, you haven't been into points of miles that long. Surely you're not talking about Dugroz reports. And you're right, I'm not. So 16 years ago, I started my other channel. Technically, it's my primary channel because once you start, you can't change it. It used to just be called Dugroz. Now it's called Driving with Dugroz. And if I do like a video of myself driving somewhere, it goes on that channel. Some of my older videos are on there too. I used to do mattress reviews, and that's where you'll find it. So that's where you'll find the video that I made about the Sparrow Signature Hybrid mattress, which is the mattress that I'm using right now. And I do have a pseudo affiliate relationship with them. Not pseudo, it is an affiliate relationship, not a sponsorship though. So only 60 people have watched it so far, which is a little disappointing. So if you want to head on over, there's a link in the description box. Do that. Wish my other channel happy 16th birthday. Happy birthday, sweet 16. Super valuable, says Nick. Hey, look, George Rommel's here and drops a $4.99 super sticker. Celebrate. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, George. We'll get to other ways you can support my channel in just a little bit, but in the meantime, anything helps. 80% of whatever you give gets reinvested right back into my channel, and the rest of it goes to my family budget, because let's face it, this is kind of like a part-time job. My brother from another mother is here, Cesar Joel. How you doing, Cesar? Good to see you. Yuri wants me to publish the Rip Trip song separately. Yuri G. The rap that I did last week, you want me to put that on Bandcamp? Sure, happy to do that. Let me screenshot it so I remember here. There we go. Rewards Match says 10 out of 10, but not as good as my Celebrate impression. I don't know, dog. We'll have to debate that a little bit. Fleet Easley's here and says, good morning, y'all. Gonna watch the video on demand later, but got to feed the algorithm. Thanks, Fleet. I appreciate that. Have a good time watching it later on. And hey, look, Mike Newland is here. New avatar, Deadly Duo. I can't quite tell what it is. Looks like two built cards, probably. The built Palladium and the built Obsidian. Yeah, now that you can have more than one card. And drops 20, count them, 5, 10, 15, 20. Dugroz reports memberships. Celebrate. Thank you for your faithfulness and your ongoing support, Mike. You don't know how much I appreciate it. Kind of keeps me alive. Not in the literal sense, but in the YouTube sense, it keeps me alive. That's just as good as a $60 super chat. If you just got a free membership from Mike, let us know down in the comment section. Since I use StreamYard, I can't actually see it. We have now cleared 50 people, so in the event you've not yet done so, give me a thumbs up. John was on board earlier, the monitor of thumbs upping, and maybe he can give us an update on where we stand with the thumbs upness. Moving on. Most of my Dugroz data points this week are personal because I've been traveling. I haven't had, normally do all my prep work on Fridays and Saturday mornings. And I left home around 2 p.m. yesterday, so didn't have much time. So a lot of personal data points this time. Hope that's okay. Let me know if you like the personal variety. Here we have a screen that says American Express Business Gold earned 200,000 membership reward points after you spend $15,000 in 3 months. My application must be received by 5/4. Well, I said my application. Really, if you've been paying attention to my channel, this is Player 2's application for Mrs. Dugroz, also known as Debroz. If she ever comes to one of the meetups, by the way, I would like you to call her Debroz, D-E-B-R-O-Z, because her name is Debbie. They like her better than me. She got a targeted offer for 200,000 MR points. I got a target offer for 125,000 points. So they like her 75,000 points more than me. Now, just in case I could get this plus a referral, I actually tried the whole bunch of different, like, incognito windows and stuff by using a referral from one of my Amex cards. None of them worked. They were either much lower, or the one where it had the up to 200,000. For some reason, it gave her the pop-up window, which is weird because she has a targeted offer. But if I forewent the referral, in other words, if I didn't try to refer and I just went to americanexpress.com/gold special super duper offer, or whatever was printed on the mailer, and then put in the code, then it didn't give me the pop-up. It was more just a regular application. So I am pleased to announce that did in fact work. So you'll see right here, approved. Da, 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 da. And I should receive my new card in the mail by May 2nd. I have some plans for this card with no credit limit, because we are working on a new heating and cooling system right now, plus a water heater. And those two things put together will be at least $10,000, maybe more like 12,000. I'm still doing some negotiating right now. Engineer, if you're on board, keep giving me advice, or has given me advice, and I'm about to close the deal, maybe even today. And they want me to make payment before installation. So I hope the card comes fairly promptly, because I don't want to try to do it with the virtual card number, just in case. Sleepy Rod asks how I'm going to meet the minimum spend on this. Well, dropping $10,000 to $12,000 on a new HVAC system will certainly get me 2/3 of the way there. And then, worst case scenario, I've got some bills. I've got like $800 to pay on my kids' school fees and tuition, that kind of stuff. They go to a private school. And then I'm backlogged on donating to my church, but I keep that money in a separate account. So if just those three things put together will get me the $15,000 in spend that I need. We're hovering right around that 52 people. So keep on clicking thumbs up. Nobody has said that my audio's okay or the video's jerky or anything. So I will assume it's fine. But if one person want to say sounds good, looks good, or something like that, I would appreciate it. Travel Fan 11 is on board. Good morning, Dugroz. Hope your day is going well. Oh, and then back to what Sleepy Rod is saying. I also need a new roof in the near future. I filed an insurance claim, which probably won't cover it because it's more like several small storms over time, not one big storm that pulled a few shingles off. But I'll probably end up paying for that out of pocket. Now, whether or not that'll go on a credit card, I don't know. TBD. John said Mike is coming in hot, and I agree with that. He is. Travel Fan says the audio is good. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Let's move along here. What are we ready for next? Same concept. Just want to point out one more screenshot here. One thing I do like about Amex, not all the time, but most of the time, they do have a tracker that shows you exactly how much you've spent, how much you have to go, and exactly when it expires. Thank you, Amex. I appreciate you not trying to trick us. US Bank, Capital One. Actually, I think Capital One did it right. I think Wells Fargo didn't have a tracker and kind of upset me. Chase does on some things, but not all of them. What's your experience with trackers telling you how much you've spent? All right. Are you ready for some epic fun here? It's time for everyone's favorite game. We don't take Amex. So we got two candidates today. One is I got a haircut. Maybe you can tell by looking at me earlier this week. Normally I go to a barber who only takes cash, but he was closed and I wanted to get a haircut and a beard trim before I left on my trip because I was getting pretty shaggy. So I stopped by Great Clips. And if you look over here along the side, what does that say? It says Visa. It says MasterCard. It says Discover, but what does it not say? It doesn't say American Express. And I thought to myself, well, I've been a couple places where they just don't put the sticker on, but they really do accept it. So with my wife's new business gold card in my Apple Wallet, I went up to pay at the end, $40 inclusive of tip and beard trim. And it made a noise like, and the lady was like, uh-oh, that's the not good noise. And I was like, do you take American Express? She said, oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the one card we don't take. So I switched over to a Visa. It was my still relatively new US Bank triple cash rewards, 0% interest for a year. So at least I had something to pay with. I had lots of things to pay with, let's be honest. But no American Express for Great Clips. Remember, if you want me to include any of your categories for We Don't Take Amex, feel free to send it to me over on the Venture Discord or the Stack Your Points Discord. And then we do have a viewer submission this week. This is from friend of the channel and diehard Ron Byrne. He sent us one from Erie Insurance. Kind of hard to read up here in the corner. Erie Insurance. I think that's like life insurance, or maybe it's auto home. I'm not sure. But over here, credit card information. We have Visa. We have MasterCard. We have Discover. What do we not have? We don't take American Express. So, yeah. And he confirmed they don't take American Express. So, bummer. I'll catch up on comments right now. Let's see. Oh, I got way behind here. I'm sorry. We did that one. We did that one. We did that one. Let's see. Sleepy Rod is also a thumbs up liker. 55 people watching, but only 23 likes? Question mark. I agree. Maybe I'm not quite as gregarious as normal because I'm in a hotel. Ah! Click the like button. John says, I paid for roof damage a few weeks ago out of pocket. Oh, what credit card did you use? And then New Again says, good morning, y'all. Yes, Doug, Amex is goated. It is super valuable. Those Amex points are super valuable. I can transfer them to Virgin. I can transfer them to Aeroplan. I can transfer them to Flying Blue. I can book all these first class and business class flights. John says, Dugroz thought he was done with Amex. Everybody has to come back at some point. Yep. So it was just a matter of me thinking through, like, okay, $10,000 of spend, maybe upwards of 15,000. Where can I knock that out real easily? And I was like, well, the Capital One Business Venture X, I think you get 150,000 points. You have to spend 30,000. Like, oh, that's not as good as the MX Business Gold that my wife was targeted for. Chase Sapphire Reserve for business, I think that's also 150K. Whether or not I'd get approved, who knows? And I just sat there thinking, I'm like, yep, American Express is the winner. If you ever need to meet a big spend bonus in one fell swoop, Amex often takes the cake. Mike Newland says, talking Capital One, the Platinum is a solid card. What is the Capital One Platinum? Isn't that just like a balance transfer card? But maybe I'm thinking wrong here. You let me know. I can't quite remember. Yuri says, most Amex cards, not just Charge, have trackers. Chase too. That's Yuri SBU. Yuri G responds, I can't find a sub-tracker for Hilton cards. Okay, wants to know to Yuri BSU where I can find it, SBU. Chad's Money Minutes here. Yo, Chad, thanks for texting me yesterday. Chad gave me a couple ideas for the live stream. Oh, by the way, I haven't even mentioned this yet. So today's theme of the day is what is your superpower in the world of travel? So basically, what do you do really well that others don't, or is at least kind of unique? Now, obviously, we're all, in the Points and Miles communities, we'll have some things in common, but hopefully we can come up with some things. I don't mean like I can book flights on Aeroplan really well. I'm thinking more like while you're traveling, and we can talk about that a little later. John says hi to Chad. Let's see. Travel Fan 11 says the Wells Fargo Attune would be great for hairstylists. 4x points. Absolutely. But you know what's even better? A sign-up bonus. I've thought about getting the Attune so many times, but it's sort of like, 4x is great, but 4x on what? $2,000 of spend a year? Let's see. Yuri says, I usually get gift cards from Staples / Office Max Office Depot. Got you there. I do have the Attune. I find it hard to use since you never know if it'll count towards 4x. I have the $75 bonus on upgrading Blue Cash to Preferred. I see the earnings tracker on the website. There you go. That's Yuri BSU. And Timote says, my roofer had 3 prices. Check. Then plus 3% for a credit card or minus 5% for cash. That's a little suspect in my opinion, because cash makes it sound like they're trying their darndest to not report these earnings to the Internal Revenue Service. And I will say that sounds good to get out of taxes until you have some sort of terrible accident and then need to claim Social Security disability. And they said, yes, we'll give you $600 a month of Social Security disability. And you're like, that's all? I earn way more money than that. It's like, well, according to your last 10 tax returns, you only make about $20,000 a year. Or you need to get a loan and you have to prove your income. And the bank says, well, according to this, you make $26,000 a year. You're like, I really make about 100,000, but that's what I report. It's like, well, sorry, that's what we have to go off of. Anyhow, New Again says, someone please tell USAA to make at least one really good card. All other credit unions are able to do it. Okay, I'll call them later today since, I'm pretty good friends with all of their executives. 53 people on board here. Let's keep going. We got a few more Dugroz data points. That is definitely not the only one. Sorry. Just waiting for my computer to do something. Oh, shoot. I hit a button and now I'm flying all over the place. Where were we? We were on Great Clips not taking Amex. I did a survey earlier this week, and I asked people this question: which hotel missing or problematic amenity annoys you the most? And the options were no mini fridge, air conditioning won't go below a set temperature. Super ironic because the air conditioning turned on right as I was saying that. If it's problematic volume-wise, let me know. No laundry machines on site or transparent shower door. And the clear winner was air conditioning won't go below a set temperature, 57%. No mini fridge at 32%, no laundry machines on site, 5%, transparent shower door, 7%. I actually voted for no laundry machines on site, partially just because I wanted to be different. I mean, if air conditioning didn't go below like 72, I'd be pretty upset. So that's probably my real one also. I don't like this particular air conditioner because there's no high-low. It's just on-off. Can everybody still hear me okay, even though the air conditioning kicked on? Juan Garcia's here, says, good morning, Doug and everyone. How you doing, Juan? Glad to see you. Hope everything's going well for you down in the MIA. I had reported a week or two ago about some success I'd had with Upside at both Taco John's, Taco Bell, and Burger King. And it did it again just this past week. Got 13% cash back on Upside at Taco John's. That was pretty pleasing. And then right here in Wheeling, West Virginia, there is a restaurant right across the street from me. I can literally look out the window I'm facing and see it. Well, I can see the parking lot. If I go like this, then I can see it. Called The Wheel. Now, when I was here 5 years ago in 2021, it was called TJ's Sports Bar and Grill, but it is on the list for Upside. It's also on the list for Built Dining, Upside, and like Rewards Network, which is like Hilton Dining and all those other places. So I'm planning to use that, at least with Upside, but I'm going to tell you a story now. So there was I don't use these kind of things very often. Oh, actually, here it is right here. There is a website that's called Restaurant Maxer. I don't know how you get to the website, but if you search Restaurant Maxer Frequent Miler has a link to it. And you'll see here it says it's part of Built, it's part of Rakuten, it's part of Rewards Network. So my story is that here in my town, Des Moines, Iowa, I found a new-ish restaurant, new to me. I think they've been around for 2 or 3 years. It was a Mexican place. Don't even remember what it was called. Ate there. And on this website, it says they take Rewards Network, they take Built Dining, and they take Rakuten Dining. So I made sure I had my card linked to all three. And it was the PayPal debit card. And I ran it as credit, just like you're supposed to. And like shortly after I paid, I got a little notification on my cell phone that said something like, hey, you're going to earn Built points at this Built restaurant. Great. I was like, hey, that's good. And excuse me. Then like 30 seconds later, I got another notification from Built that said, oh, we're sorry. You've added this card to another rewards network, so we can't give you Built points. Waited about a week and a half, went and checked in all three. Built, no points. Hilton Dining, which is part of Rewards Network, no points. Rakuten Dining, no points. I didn't get points on any of them. So I'm kind of ticked off. If anybody has like any advice, do they like fight against each other? Like I thought I'll just link it to everything and hopefully get at least one. Instead I got none. So is the way to do it just to commit to one? So when I go over there tonight, I've deleted all of my cards from Hilton Dining except one. You have to have one in place to keep the account open, and I don't even know which card it is. It's one I almost never use. So that won't interfere anymore. I'm wondering, I'll pay with my City Strata Elite since this is City Nights. I'll link that to, if I can only do one, I'll do it on Upside because it's actually the most reliable of all of them. It's not even on the list, but Upside works here also. So anybody got any stories or how that works when a restaurant has multiple rewards networks? I mean, you're supposed to be able to maximize it, but Luke says, I'm pretty sure you can only connect a card to one program. Travel Fan says, Rewards Network only allows one card to be signed to each program. Does Built and Rewards Network use the same on the back end? And then my other question would be, does Rakuten Dining use the same on the back end? It's good to know. DEM says, Built syncs its tentacles into any card that's linked to. You should delink it completely if you're using it elsewhere. Oh, okay. So Luke says, yup. I better go back. I missed a comment or two. Where were we here? John says, I can hear you fine. That's good to know. Spartan of Finance says, good morning from a rainy day in New Jersey. Awesome. And by the way, we're up to 68 people on board, so keep clicking thumbs up. George Rommel says, good morning. Just a data point. The rep at the Capital One Lounge at Dallas-Fort Worth won't let myself in to grab a few sandwiches. We paid $70 but rushed out after 10 minutes. I complained and Capital One refunded me the $70. Was this because I'm guessing this is a situation where you have the card, you don't have the pay authorized user things because you're only doing it like once or twice a year. So you brought two family members in for $35 each. I bet that's what it was. Okay, that's good to know that yeah, I would complain about it too if that happens. Yuri BSU says, Doug, I'm skimming a trip to Germany next spring, 2027, mostly Berlin to visit friends. Any Aeroplan plays you think of? Lufthansa has higher fees. Condor, maybe. Condor, you'll be condoid. Actually, it wasn't entirely their fault. Yes, I think Condor only flies into Frankfurt, but don't quote me on that. Maybe you can take the train. That sounds like the way to go. If you have Alaska miles, use that for Condor. I don't know if Aeroplan hooks up with Condor or not. Does anybody else know? Otherwise, there's always Flying Blue, fly into Amsterdam or Paris and then transfer. I'm not an expert by any means. I mean, I've been to Europe twice. Some of you guys have been there 30 times. John drops one Dugroz Reports membership. Celebrate. Thanks, John. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Tio Rico says, howdy. Matt Colossus says, once again, I want Rewards Network to create a subscription. Yep. Can't do Built plus another program. Travelland says, yes to all three. Okay, so it sounds like what I'm hearing is I have to pick a program and go with it. So if I want to go with Upside, go with Upside. If I want to go with Hilton Dining, which is part of Rewards Network, go with Hilton Dining. If I want to go with Built, go with Built. Don't try to do all of them. Juan Garcia drops a 149 super sticker, or maybe super chat. Celebrate. Juan is aware of my standing offer that if you give exactly $1.49, you get 100 Dugroz points. Excuse me, 1,000 Dugroz points. There you go, Juan. Don't spend it all in one place. We're up to 68 people on board. Keep on clicking thumbs up. Yuri G says, I heard from a friend that he received points from both Rakuten and Built Dining when he was using a Built card. Okay. DEM says, the same goes for linking a Built card to Rakuten or an airline dining/shopping program. You'll have major issues. Yuri G says, I flew a few times on LH, that must be Lufthansa F, booked via Aeroplan, and I paid around $200 for a flight from Frankfurt to the U.S. I'm thinking when my family did it, it was Aeroplan points to book Lufthansa. It was from Munich to Washington, D.C., although we actually originated in Austria, Vienna, and they might have lower taxes. I was thinking it was around $200 per person in taxes and fees. Tia Rico says, FYI, Rewards Network is the network for AA, Atmos, Hilton, IHG, Built, and many others. Not sure about Rakuten. Upside does stack. Okay, so I could do Upside plus Built, but not Hilton plus Built. Am I picking up what you're laying down? Travel Fan says, I use my UACC for United Dining, United Airlines, my Amex for Rakuten, Marriott credit card for Marriott Dining. Okay, that all makes sense. Vicki Arnold said, I'll be flying to Greenville, South Carolina with my American Airlines miles, and I'll be using my HG points staying at a Holiday Inn Express. Awesome. Way to go, Vicki. By the way, haven't seen you on a live in ages. So good to have you here. Thanks for stopping by. Family Travel with John says, Dugroz points are super valuable. They are super valuable. Use them at Bennigan's, Casey's. You got lots of options. You can use it Vacasa, but only in Iowa and West Virginia. Oh, to put a ribbon on what we were talking about with Upside, which has been the most reliable one for me, far and away. Hey, if you want to use my referral link, there it is. If you're watching this after the fact, pause it, scan it. That benefits me. I had a smattering of points from your referral for a while. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there we go. George Rommel says correct. Okay, Upside plus one thing. Don't try to go beyond that. Mike Newland said, if you really want to get no points, just go ahead and connect all of them. Apparently, because that's what I did. I'm ignorant. I very rarely eat at places that are like that. I either eat at chains, which tend to not have any sort of things, or like, the little hole-in-the-wall Mexican place where they've never even heard of Rakuten. Okay, where were we? Oh, we're going to talk about how you can support this channel. I'll go really fast, trying to take a lot of your time here. You can be a Dugroz diehard. That's a channel member. It's only $3 a month. Join anytime. Click the join button on any video. You'll see that I have over 65. It's got to be approaching 70. Yes, 70 members only videos. I dropped one just this past week that was a little bit of a strategery update, but here's some of the samples of what you might see on there. So I hope you enjoy that. You can also use the link in the description box for the tip jar. It'll look like that. And that's where you can support the channel outside of YouTube. And I keep a little bit of a higher percentage than usual if you do that. You can also get a good night of sleep. You can sleep on the Sparrow Signature Hybrid mattress. I referenced it earlier, but that's my favorite mattress. If you do use it, check out my video. If you're thinking about using it, looks kind of like this. We got a lifetime warranty. We got a free lifetime renewal exchange where you can swap out the top layer, no questions asked. Just watching the video helps me out. So if you're in the hunt for a mattress, check that out. I would sure appreciate it. By the way, the bed that I have here at the Hilton, it's okay. But my Sparrow Signature Hybrid from Nest Bedding back home is way better. So this particular Hampton Inn I'm at right now in Wheeling, West Virginia on National Road, there's two of them. You want the National Road one, has won several of the Connie Awards. Like, if you think, why is the name escaping me? The guy who founded Hilton, Conrad. Connie is the nickname for Conrad. So the award's like a little statue of his head, and I'll show you in a little bit. I think it's gone downhill just a little since 2021. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but just the bed's not quite as good as I expected. I ended up with 2 queens because that's what was available when I booked it. I booked this using the City Strata Elite $300 annual hotel credit, booked it back in December. So I'm actually using 2025's credit now, and all they had was 2 queen beds. Juan says, I took my mom for birthday lunch, paid with my Strata Premier, and happened to be a neighborhood-built restaurant. Happy accident and double dip in points. We'll take it. Celebrate. Absolutely. Tariq says, is it possible to have your video being posted on a podcast after live stream is over? I can listen to it after work or on a road trip as I'm heading to Portland from Southern California. You mean like just rip the audio and put it on a podcast? Probably. I don't know how to do that, though. I think I asked someone once, and I just never really went anywhere with it. Some people just turn on YouTube and don't look at the screen. I recommend that, not looking at the screen if you're driving. But that's a good idea. Thanks, Tariq. Travel Fan says, Upside is great for gas and car wash at gas stations. Unfortunately, they no longer allow for PayPal transfers, but do allow for bank transfers of accumulated cash back. Okay. Mike Newland says, I'm so surprised there's no shenanigans going on at Casey's Pizza. Yeah, there's really not. Sometimes you can get Upside at Casey's, but only for gas. But the pizza's so good. It is so good. Thank you. All right, so now we will take a little side trip here, and instead of talking about direct points and miles stuff, we'll talk about what I'm doing this weekend. So you might wonder, why, Doug? Why are you in Wheeling, West Virginia? Well, every year I take at least 2 solo trips. I call them RIP trips, rental in plane, long weekends, and I almost always do one in April, one in October, because it's sort of like, hey, it's a great time of year. The weather's cooperative, although it's actually raining today. I will say, of the days I'm going to be here, though, this is probably the best day to have rain because I have the least planned today. Sort of my get in and recover today. I'll just walk around Wheeling. I'm actually planning to walk across the suspension bridge, so all you guys need to hold me accountable. I tried to do it 5 years ago and it was raining, so I got chickened out and I didn't do it. I really need to do that. There's a historic suspension bridge, but it's the kind where the bottom is like a metal grate, so you can see down and through, and it's like 75 yards down to the river, and I'm like, ah. All right. So what am I doing this weekend? I flew on Southwest from Des Moines yesterday. By the way, I know none of this is like top-notch first-class travel. This is just everyman travel. So hopefully we can all revel in the everyman of it. I'm not trying to show off here or anything, because I know many of you can show off way more than I do. This is my first time flying Southwest since they did away with their cattle call boarding. I didn't really love how they did boarding, but maybe that's because my flight wasn't very full. They would put like odd groups on one side, even groups on the other side. But the problem is he didn't call the groups up until like right before they started boarding. And then we had a bunch of like line lizards just waiting behind the line. Like probably the actual end of the line is maybe this guy here in a white hat. This guy I don't think is actually in line. He's just waiting for his group to be called. So it's sort of like, it's got to be a better way to do that. But it wasn't a real full flight. So ended up not being a hugely big deal. I actually ended up not sitting in my assigned seat. I ended up sitting in a seat like a couple rows back off to the side, because my assigned seat was somebody in window, somebody in middle, and then the aisle was open where I was supposed to sit. But there was one like 2 rows back that had a lady in the window, no one in the middle, no one in the aisle. So I just sat there. And then the flight was only like 60% full. And I heard some people asking, can we move to a different seat? Can we move to a different seat? And the stewardess was like, you can move like across the aisle or up 1 or 2 rows. Said, we have zones and you're only allowed to move within the zone. There was a truckload of extra legroom seats available. They would not let people move up there. I was afraid she was going to make me move to my assigned seat, but I just didn't say anything, and nobody asked to see any tickets or anything, so I was okay in that regard. So at least I didn't have to sit next to someone. Landed at Midway, so obviously Des Moines doesn't have lots of direct flights. There's no direct flight to Pittsburgh. Midway, I haven't been there, Chicago Midway, since like 2003. Here's the one and only one Party Pass Lounge in Midway. It's kind of like where the terminals all meet, so it doesn't matter which terminal you're flying in and out of. I will say it was pretty smooth. There was a wait list. It said 20 to 25 minutes, but I got the text message after about 15 minutes. Kind of a small lounge, but it was okay. Not great, but I got to sit. I got to avoid Adam's kids. I got to have a little bit of food. This is the chair I sat in the lounge. Kind of a dumb picture. Here's the bathroom in the lounge. Me being excited for a private bathroom. The only like main dish they had was rice mixed with chicken, or you could get the rice plain, and put some lettuce and a good healthy amount of ranch dressing on top with some crackers. I thought this was ranch dip. It was actually garlic dip. Way too garlicky. I mean, what do you expect at a Priority Pass lounge? Not great. Then I hopped on board the second leg of the trip, and this time I actually paid to pick my seat, and I picked a seat about 3 or 4 rows in front of the exit row, and this qualified as extra leg room. Now, I got the whole row to myself, so there I am enjoying my 2 empty seats next to me. In this regard, I actually kind of like the change with Southwest. So I was never a huge fan of Southwest cattle call boarding or general boarding before. I like to know where I'm sitting. And they don't have any sort of like business or first class. It's just plebeian seats and then extra legroom seats up front. I think when I ordered it was like exit row, and then for like $20 or $30 you can get the next few rows, and like maybe the first 2 rows are all a little more expensive. Maybe those were like $35. So I'm okay to like, upgrade for $20, $25 to a seat like this. And the extra legroom actually did make a difference. I don't see any comments, so I'll just keep going here. So now on the first leg where I didn't have extra leg room, I was trying to work on my laptop, actually, the very video that I'm doing now, or the theme of the day PowerPoint. And I'm kind of a thick boy when it comes to the front to back dimension. So the tray table actually hit me in the gut. That's how close it was on that first leg. But on the second leg where I had extra leg room, which is this picture, plenty of space. And actually, this is me showing how wide I am, because I moved from the aisle seat over to the middle seat after takeoff. And I was like, I have the whole row to myself. I'm a giant. Ho, 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 ho. See how wealthy and prestigious I am. Sitting there in the middle seat. And then here's a picture of the leg room. So yeah, I'm about 5'11" in real life, about 6'4" in points and miles. So yeah, plenty of leg room there with the extra leg room. That was nice. And the seat was pretty comfy. So after landing, first of all, the NFL draft was in Pittsburgh. It's pretty much over now, the in-person part. They had all these tribute things set up. I don't know if this one's theirs all the time, but if you know much about NFL history, this is what they call the Immaculate Reception. This is Franco Harris caught a deflected pass. I don't know if it was a championship game or some important game. You can see that they beat the Raiders 13-7 because of it. A little controversial, but it's kind of cool that they have that set up in there in the airport. And they had a few things to honor the draft itself. And then it was time to rent a car. I had rented my car through the US Bank Altitude Reserve portal, and $323.96. My speculation was part of the reason why rental cars were so expensive, because normally I can get this for like low 200s, was because of the draft going on. Maybe people were all leaving. I also thought to myself, because of that, it's going to be super busy in the airport. So another reason why I wanted to sit closer to the front, was willing to pay $20 or $30, whatever it was, to pick my seat in extra leg room on that second leg, was because I wanted to rush right to the rental car counter as fast as possible. Well, all of my fears were completely unnecessary. I had a bad experience with this exact same Avis in the past, back in 2021, where they literally ran out of cars. They got the wrong rate code for me. It was 2 errors at once. It was a huge fiasco. So I was a little concerned, but I was chalking that up to COVID times, because late 2021 was kind of right as we're coming out of the part of the pandemic where people don't want to travel. So everybody was kind of rage traveling, but they were still having a hard time getting employees. And B, a lot of them had sold off like half their fleet. And my fears were unnecessary. So I actually got to the Avis counter. There was only one person in line. Since I booked it third party, I didn't get to use any kind of status. And there was 3 employees. So normally it's like if there's one person in line, there's one employee. But no, there's 3 employees. It was budget and Avis combined. And I walked right up to a lady who helped me out and checked out, gave her my name, ID. Since I booked through a third party, I had to present a credit card. And when I presented my credit card, it was the US Bank Altitude Reserve, which really I shouldn't need to use. There should be no charges on it unless I have an accident or tolls to pay, maybe. That'd be about it. And she said something like, she had a little bit of a Spanish accent. She's like, do you know that you're a member? And I'm like, yeah, I'm aware. Like, yeah, you have Avis preferred status. Why you not use it? And I said, oh, well, I had this credit card offer, so I had to go through a third-party portal. This applied to the US Bank Altitude Reserve $325 annual travel credit. Oh, okay. Well, when you gave me credit card, the credit card's already on file. My accent's getting worse and worse. So let's just give up the accent here. When I ran your credit card, it came up as you having an Avis preferred account. So I listed it there in your preferred account, so it'll show up on the app. It's like, oh, okay, thanks for doing that. I mean, I don't get any points or anything since it was booked third party, but I guess it'll show in my history now for whatever that's worth. So yeah, I was really pleased. Got in and out real fast. I ended up getting this car right here, which I think is a Ford Escape. I paid for a full size. She's like, if you want a small to medium SUV, we won't charge you any extra. So there it is with my ticket, with all my information, blurred out the license plate. Avis in Panama City Beach several years ago gave me the wrong car, literally the wrong car. The car on my rental agreement and the license plate didn't match. So now I always, check the keys, check the license plate, check the rental agreement to make sure they're all the same. Fortunately, nothing terrible happened except like when I pulled into my destination airport, which was Pensacola, the lady's like, "You've already checked in." I'm like, and yet here I am with this car. Basically, they gave my car to Frank, Frank's car to me. I don't know if his name was Frank, but let's say, thankfully, Frank didn't get in a wreck or anything, so it didn't matter. But think of how terrible that would have been. So yes, tip from Dugroz: when renting a car, always make sure license plate, key, and rental agreement have the same license plate number. And if it doesn't, tell them before you leave, because they might have given your car to Frank by accident. But yeah, good experience, no problem. They even had a thing on the app where it's like, click here and you can go through like a express checkout when you leave just by scanning a QR code. But that lane was blocked off, so I ended up talking to an employee, but there was no one around. So apparently when I got to the Avis desk, I said something like, "Man, I was all concerned about it being busy because of the draft." And there was this chubby guy sitting one desk over. He's like, "Draft's over, man." So I don't know if that means like everybody that was here for the draft left right away Friday afternoon, because I know it started on Thursday. Any of you super football fans, let me know. 77 people on board. Keep on clicking thumbs up, and I'll move along here. Let's see. Where are we? We were right here. Okay. Yuri G says, "I actually liked Southwest when it had the so-called cattle call boarding." All right. I know some people do. I didn't. John says, "Casey's Pizza. Yum." Mike says, "Would you consider that seat on the second flight an upgrade?" Yeah, I would. I put it on my Aeroplan card. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to, boom, pay myself back on that. I actually had some travel credits on Southwest from back when my wife had a business platinum, when I had a business platinum. A couple of the years we used Southwest as our preferred airline and not having any flights to book. I just booked a fully refundable flight and then canceled it. Remember when Southwest used to let you keep your points forever and they never expired? Or excuse me, your travel credits forever and they never expired? Good times, good times. Ian says, "Hello from Dallas, Fort Worth. Have a great live." Thanks, Ian. Appreciate it. Ian also gave me some ideas for the theme of the day today. Stacy's Travel Point says, "Good Saturday morning." Good to see you, Stacy. Thanks for being here. Nurcan says, "I like the change with the new seating with Southwest Airlines. I see a lot of people don't like paying extra for the first 3 or 4 rows. I get to sit there now since I fly standby as a non-revenue." You must work for Southwest or have a relative that does, or I know some of those airlines have agreements with that kind of thing. Yuri is asking Ian if he's in the Capital One lounge. Source King says, "Good dog from the beautiful Arland Airport in Stockholm, Sweden. The Terminal 2 Pearl Lounge Party Pass gets you in. It is not horrible." Awesome. Yeah. The Party Pass lounge that I went to in Gothenburg was a lot better than the one in Midway, Chicago. Glad to see you on board, Source King. How was my best guess on Swedish? Goddag. John says, "NFL draft through Sunday. Is there like a live part, a part where like everybody comes in person, then another part where they don't come in person?" I'm not sure why Chubby Guide said, "Draft's over, man." New Again says, and I say that as a chubby guy myself, so I'm allowed to say that. New Again says, "Don't worry, Doug. There's no real perk to having Ava status. Members do get 1 day for completing 2 rentals, minimum of 2 days each." Members do get 1 day for completing 2 rentals, minimum of 2 days each. Oh, so if I do 2-day rentals, then I get 1 day for free. Are you sure that's with Avis? You're not thinking of National? Maybe Avis does it too, but I've done 10, 15 rentals of 2 days or more through Avis, never had a single free day. Is it the kind of thing where they have to be within a certain time frame together, or maybe it expires? Juan says, "Oh, here we go with upgrade talk." And NFL draft is through Saturday. Yeah, I'm just wondering what's the difference between why would he say draft's over, man? Like, is the in-person part, or was he just dumb? If he was dumb, put it in the comments. 71 people on board. Keep on clicking that thumbs up button. Another screen that, I don't know, interested me. I'm easily entertained sometimes. Midway, of course, is in Chicago. I've never flown out of Midway since I got into points and miles. I did once when I worked for the tiny little college I went to right after I graduated for a while. I flew to a convention down in Orlando, like a fundraiser, but that was probably 2002, 2003, something like that. In fact, it might have been 2000, like April 2002, because I flew on the very first weekend after TSA took over security. Those of you who are in my age bracket or a little below, but mostly above, will remember before September 11th, 2001, airlines handled their own security. So, like, American did the American security, United did the United security. It wasn't government run. And I flew on the very first weekend where it was turned over to TSA. And I remember this really boisterous, like, big government dude, like, this line over here, take your shoes off, use the thingamajig, go like this, take all your clothes off, those kind of things. Slight exaggeration, but not much. This is Chicago, and I just thought it's cool to see Chicago. There's the Sears Tower, very blurry. There's the Hancock Tower. This is where the Winslow family lived from Family Matters. That's the main thing you think of when you think of Chicago, right? Right. And then late at night, pulled into the greatest Hampton Inn in the world, statistically speaking. What's this thing? That's a spaceship, very clearly. They have 2 free shuttles to somewhere. I'm not sure where the shuttle takes you. Is there a Wheeling Airport? I'm sure they don't drive to Pittsburgh. What's that? Is that a cross up on the hill? Oh, just a telephone pole. Yep. And like I said, right across the street, I can actually see it, is the restaurant formerly known as TJ Sports Bar and Grill. It's got a lot of like sports cards on the sign. I think that's a picture of Pete Rose right there. And now it's called The Wheel. Anybody in Wheeling tonight? You want to hang out? Let me know. Catch up on comments here. John says, yes, Saturday. Midway is a Southwest hub. That makes sense. Rounds 4 through 7. Juan says, Chiefs went aggressive. Oh, this is draft talk. I'm not going to get into a lot of draft talk, but feel free to read it there while it's on the screen. And I'm always happy to get content. Doesn't bother me at all. So this is the inside of the Hampton Inn that I'm in right now. This is their wall of achievement. So here's the statue of Conrad Hilton for their Connie Awards. And I think it's like 2013, 17, 18, 19, 21. I don't remember. The most recent one they've won is 2023. They didn't win 2024 and they didn't win 2025, which I think it's like maybe the top 5 Hampton Inns get it, the top 5 Embassy Suites get it, the top 5 Hilton Garden Inns get it, something like that. And then they also have awards for the Make It Right Award. They have a, Player of the Year award, something. The awards in this wall are testimony to our success in meeting exceeding guests' expectation. The busts of Conrad Hilton, the founder of Hilton Hotels, are known as the Connie Awards and are the preeminent award among all, currently awarded to only the top Hampton Inn in the system based upon quality assurance inspections and guest satisfaction scores from guest surveys. I guess only one Hampton Inn actually gets it. Now, my understanding, it's like the best Hampton Inn in America, the best Hampton Inn in Latin America, the best Hampton Inn in Europe, that kind of thing. But yeah, to win, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ever is quite an achievement. And of course, there's a phone because, a lot of us got to make landline phone calls. I have a phone in the bathroom here. I think it's because it's one of those handicapped rooms. I was a little concerned because, again, I booked third party using my City Strata Elite Hotel credit last year. That's my room, and here's the ice machine. It's literally like right next to my room, but fortunately I never heard it, so at least that's good. Here's a picture of the breakfast. Got some breakfast. Sausage patties, always essential. Eggs. It is the egg in the box, unfortunately. And here is my milk and my orange juice. I thought the cups were kind of nifty. How many other YouTubers talk about their beverages at a Hampton Inn? Here's the picture of the toilet phone, just in case you need to be making a whole bunch of landline phone calls, because I know we all do that, right? Now, interestingly, when I checked in, I can probably put that picture away. It's kind of disturbing. When I checked in, the guy who was at the front desk said, I've only worked here 2 weeks. I'm sorry, bear with me. Couldn't get the transaction to go through. So apparently, because I pay Citi provides a virtual credit card number to Hilton hotels, which they run upon check on. He kept trying to run it and it kept rejecting it. He's like, oh, crud. So he had to call his manager at like 11:15 at night. And the manager said, try just running one day. And that went through. So for whatever reason, if you're ever in this situation, if you're using your hotel credit from Citi Travel, using Citi Travel for a hotel, they can't get to check in, ask them to run it day by day. And then he said the next morning, stop at the front desk, ask him to run it again. And I did, and it went through just fine. It's a little annoying that I had to stop by the desk a second time, but it wasn't like the end of the world. It took maybe 12 minutes to work through all that, which I was tired. I didn't love standing there for 12 minutes, but we got it done. And then while I was there, I was like, hey, I know this is a long shot, but would you add my Hilton Honors number to this reservation? And he's like, sure. You won't earn any points, but it'll show up as a trip in the app. And sure enough, there it is right there. April 24th. Hey, that's yesterday. Through April 26th. Hey, that's today. Oops, I'm not actually showing it. There it is. Yep, just proof that it showed up on my app. So now what I want to know, and maybe some of you Hilton loyalists will know, if I'm like trying to earn status, which I'm not going to, I'm already gold because I have the Hilton Surpass, but let's say I was trying to earn status, would this count as a stay? Or even though it shows in the app on the back end, are they aware I booked it third party through Citi Travel, so it wouldn't show up that way? Let's see. John says 2-1. Here's some things about the Chiefs and some things about football. Sourcing says your Swedish pronunciation is way above average for the non-initiated. Okay, I'll take it. Solid B-. Travel family with John says the first morning in my Hampton, they had smoked sausages with breakfast, which is my favorite. Awesome. Smoked sausage is different than just the little Jimmy Dean sausages that are, heated, I assume. The thicker kind like you find in Europe, maybe. 68 people on board. I realize today's not as compelling of a topic because it's kind of a fun topic. So those of you who are on board, any little super chat, any little thumbs up, any little comment helps. I'll give you some ideas in a little bit. So, all right, that takes care of what I'm doing this weekend. And then I'm going to be visiting some waterfalls. I'm going to go to a Frank Lloyd Wright house over in Pennsylvania. I did briefly cross into Ohio just for the sake of driving from Pittsburgh down to Wheeling. For some reason, it suggested that I drive down on the Ohio side of the river, truckloads of construction. The Ohio State and Ohio River. So, Luke, I was in your state last night. And any of you fellow Ohioans, anybody on board live in West Virginia? Raise your hand if you do. I don't think I've ever had a West Virginia resident on board. Love to visit. Not sure if I'd want to live here, but it's one of my favorite places to visit. And then after visiting some waterfalls, I'll head over to Morgantown on Monday and base out of there. I will see another waterfall, Blackwater Falls, which is a big one I went to 2 or 3 years ago. Loved it. Maybe the West Virginia Botanical Garden, a scenic overlook. I kind of like outdoor nature stuff. And other than today when it's raining, it's supposed to have beautiful weather. Stacy wants to know where I am at. I am in Ohio. I'm in Wheeling, West Virginia. So I'm not actually in Ohio, but I'm close, just on the other side of the Ohio River. John says, correct. The ones that look and taste similar to a hot dog, but better. RemGB says, good morning. Just checking in. Good to see you, Rem. Thanks for being here. Hey, we're back up to 70 people. That's good. All right. Dugroz data points continued. Almost done. I've got 3 left. Chase reduces the redemption rates on hundreds of the edit properties. Well, this sounds like a bummer. This one is hat tip to frequent miler. So basically, when Chase first launched the edit, when they revised the Chase Sapphire Reserve, they basically said in a roundabout way, yeah, these are all going to be 2 cents per point, if not more. And then like 3 months later, they're like, we never said that. Psych, 1.66 or 1.65 is totally fine. They get some perks with it. Tim at Frequent Miler, Tim Stanky, ran some statistics, and through a program called Edit Maxer, similar to the Awards Maxer. And here's what he found out. The most common transfer for Edit hotels is 1.65 cents per point. Of the 1,084 properties currently shown as available, only 119 are at 2 cents per point or higher, which is 11% roughly. In contrast, 89% are at 1.65 cents per point. Now, in my opinion, that's a huge ripoff and a very customer non-friendly move on Chase's part. I guess, I don't know, maybe all the normies out there don't really care or think about the difference. Just like, hey, I'm getting a good rate. So, boo, Chase. Boo, earns. Boo, earns. Are they saying boo or boo earns? I was saying boo earns. Mike says, The Fugitive is what I think about when I think of Chicago. At the end of The Fugitive, doesn't he jump off the Hoover Dam? Or is that some other dam? How does he get from Chicago to Los Angeles? I don't know that I've ever seen the entire movie. I've just seen bits and pieces. I wonder if he stops by the Hoover Dam parking lot. And is that Harrison Ford, or am I imagining it? Stacy says, you're only about an hour and a half from me. Wheeling is good for gambling, or so they say. I actually have a nephew that lives in Warsaw, Ohio, which is a tiny little town. Nick says, Chase heard people saying the CSR couldn't become more trash and said, hold my beer. It does seem like that's what happened. Yuri G says, I recently booked a Kimpton at Sacramento and Ritz at Toronto, and both were 2 cents per point. Yeah, well, those 11%. Good job. Way to cherry pick, Yuri. Obviously, most of us that are on this live stream in this space know how to cherry pick and that kind of stuff. So that's good of us. Final Dugroz data point here. World of Hyatt announces the 2026 category changes. They're not inspiring, so says Frequent Miler, still hat tip 10. And says, not content to simply obliterate the award. Not content to simply obliterate the award chart, World of Hyatt today announced its award category change for 2026. The good news is that only 136 properties are affected. The bad news is that 112 of them are going up in price. And then the really bad news is that with the new dynamic award chart, that means the average point price for the unchanged properties will almost certainly go up as well. These changes go into effect on May 20th at 8 o'clock a.m. Central Time. Strange that it's Central Time, but that's okay. Way to go, Central Time. So yeah, that's kind of a bummer. I did take a look at the link of the specific properties. None of the properties in Iowa are changing. There's only like 5 Hyatts in the whole state. Are there even that many? 3 in the Des Moines area, 1 in Iowa City. I think that's it. Maybe there's 2 in Iowa City. So 4 or 5. And then the one that's in East Moline, Illinois, where my son goes to chess tournaments once a year, just across the river. That's not changing. So still category 1 for now. Nuracan confirmed that the fugitive was in fact Han Solo. Good to know. All right, I think we're done. That's it. So we have reached the end of the Dugroz data points. We have now moved on to the next phase. Now, I will come back to the theme of the day, superpowers of travel. In fact, I'll start sharing the tab. We'll get there in just a little bit. And in the meantime, you can listen to some copyright-free music. Now, I didn't have time because of my travels to write any new songs. I apologize. So you'll get to listen to one of the ones from my alternate channel, Dugroz Nostalgia. So if you like that, you can listen to that. Why don't we do the plaid sport coat rags? I'm going to go to the bathroom, take the biology break. I'll be back. Sit tight. I'll give you a topic to discuss while I'm doing that. How about... have you ever had a problem when renting a car? Rental car problems, discuss. I'll be back. Okay, sorry for the delay there. Thanks for everybody who hung in there. Two songs there. We had the Plaid Sport Coat Rag and Moonlight over Algiers, both original compositions for me, both available for purchase, $1.67 on Bandcamp, and the link is in the description box. And yes, apparently I spilled water on myself. Sorry about that. All right, bathroom break over. Thanks for hanging in there. I'll catch up on comments real quick here. Nick says, what? No new song? Sorry, nope, had to reuse an old one. Juan Garcia said, that's why I tell my CSR, hold my scotch. Pro Western Civ says, is anybody else in the chat old enough from when Amex had transfer bonuses? That's a good point. They haven't had one in a long time. Mike Newland says, are those 11% like super hire and hotels at a 2-night minimum? I actually don't know. I didn't look into the details of that. I apologize. All right, let's go ahead and get into our theme of the day here. Superpowers of travel. I don't have a mute button since I'm working off I don't have a manual mute button. I'm sure I have one. Where is it? Gotta blow my nose. There it is. Five, four, three. So today we're talking about superpowers of travel. This is a quick and easy live stream idea, something that is a lot of fun. Basically, we're just talking about things you can do while traveling that give you some sort of unique or semi-unique advantage or something like that. So we're just going to list them off. While I was flying yesterday on Southwest, I had like the limited internet access for free where you can use like iMessage if you have an iPhone, or like I could send message through the Discord messenger. So I just messaged a bunch of people that I had contact information for. Some of them fans of this channel, some of them just real life friends, and got their opinion, what they think their travel superpower is. I had enough time to mention some of them, but not all of them. So if you're watching live and don't see yours, feel free to speak up and say, hey, I do that too. Number one, I can sleep on the plane in economy. There's a picture of me sleeping. This definitely wasn't economy. I think that's in Minneapolis, maybe when we flew to Europe or on the way home, one of the two. I can't sleep in economy, not well at least, but some people do really good at it. Takeoff. An advantage of sleeping on the plane economy is you're more rested for later in that day or the next day. And also you can do red eyes, no problem. Jay Chains is one of the viewers that told me he can basically, if he's only had 20 minutes of sleep the night before, he can fall asleep on the plane, even in economy, and sleep through the whole night. So does that apply to you? How do you do sleeping in economy? Number two, similar, I can sleep anywhere. Couch, floor, tent, hard chair, doesn't matter. Now, this one is definitely not me. I need a very particular mattress. I'm not going to sleep in a tent. Up until now, my boys have done a father-son camp out through my church once a year. And last year, I was like, nope, this is the last time we're doing that. We're just getting a hotel or something like that. Advantage, you don't have to be particular about your accommodations. Yeah, you can crash on a couch or whatever. Oop, I went too far. I'm pretty sure the picture in the bottom right is at the Capital One Lounge in Denver, and maybe you could fall asleep in that chair for a few hours. And then the bottom left, I know this for sure, maybe John R. remembers it too. That was in New Orleans at my room there at the Hyatt Centric, because I did my live stream. John sat on the couch while I sat in a chair as my only fan who showed up to watch live and in person. Watch the live stream live. It's kind of a curved couch. So man, if you could sleep on that, you'd be doing pretty well. Vincent Pascal is here and says, do you exclude sleeping in premium economy? I'll allow it. Obviously, sleeping in regular economy is going to be the even bigger superpower. And Cesar says, I wish I could sleep in my economy. My son has that superpower. Yeah, I think a lot of us do until we're like 25 or so. Then it seems to go away. By the way, 63 people on board. Keep on clicking the thumbs up button. Number three, I can skip meals or go a long time between them. Picture of some food from the Salamander Resort for breakfast out in rural Washington, D.C. This is one that I actually have. This enables maximizing the daylight. So one thing I like to do when I'm on a trip like I am right now is actually spend as much time as possible out doing stuff during daylight hours. I like doing outdoor stuff. I'm not like an outdoorsman where I'm building log cabins by hand, but I like seeing waterfalls and monuments and graveyards and that kind of stuff. So you got to do all that during daylight hours. So oftentimes I will actually eat a big breakfast, skip lunch entirely, or just do like a little snack at a gas station. One of my go-tos is those little packets of crackers you can get at gas station. Comes with like 6 or 8 and either has cheese or peanut butter in them. What's that brand called? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Usually it's less than $1, like 75, 85 cents. And that gets me through till supper. And I may not eat my evening meal till 7 p.m. You can savor that evening restaurant more. So if you're really looking forward to like one well-rated restaurant, you'll have plenty of hunger going in. Maybe you can get dessert. You can do stuff now and eat later. The people who gave me this idea are Andrew. He's a friend from my church. And then Cesar and myself. You know, Cesar, we really are brothers. We have the same superpower and everything. Yuri thought I mispronounced Göteborg. I used the anglicized treatment of Gothenburg. Rewards Master says, I can't sleep in economy, but Nona can when she takes my upgrade to first, which just happened. Well, you may have lost out on your upgrade, but you definitely earned husband points, and those are pretty valuable. Yuri says, I can sleep in economy sometimes, but only if I'm really tired or didn't sleep enough. Yeah, that makes sense. I think there's about 16 of these roughly. Let's keep going. Number 4, I can drive long distances, no problem. This used to be me, like 10, 11, 12, 13 hours of driving, maybe even 14, no problem. When I got to about 30, 32, something like that, this superpower went away. So yes, those are pictures of me, and the rental cars are similar, but they're actually 2 different locations. The bottom left one was right on the West Virginia border, this same trip just 4 or 5 years ago. And then the bottom right is in Foley, Alabama at a Holiday Inn Express. If you can drive long distances, it enables more of the fly versus drive decision tree. So for me, the decision tree is like 2 or 3 hours. You know, I'd prefer to fly. Now, that's not always an option, but like I flew from Des Moines to St. Louis, which seems kind of lazy when I could drive. But you know what? Gets you there faster, and I can do stuff like use my computer, or delete pictures, or read a book while flying. Can't do that while in a car. Opens up locations far from airports. So like if you want to travel to a really rural spot, having the ability to drive long distances is a superpower. It allows you to fly into other cheaper or more direct airports. So for example, let's say you want to go to Eastern Tennessee. You could fly into Tri-City, Johnson City Airport, way over on the eastern side. Or you could just fly into Nashville and drive. Maybe the second one is a direct flight. So the more you can drive, the more options are opened up. One example is driving from New York, Hudson Valley to Davenport, Iowa in one day, and then Davenport, Iowa to Denver on a different day. That was from Matt Clausen. He says he has the superpower here of being able to drive long distances, no problem. I actually did the Denver to Davenport drive back when I was in college in a van with like other teenagers, but that was when I was in college. And John mentioned he drives from Kansas City to Nashville in less than 8 hours fairly regularly to visit a friend. So another long driving superpower in person. Yuri says, my record of driving is around 950 miles per day. Ooh, wow, that is a lot. What does that come out to in terms of length of time? Is that like 13, 14 hours? Rewards Master says, when my kids were young, Nona and I traded off for 33 hours straight from Texas to San Francisco. Oh, my word. That sounds like a low-level form of torture. Can't do it anymore. I wouldn't even try at this point. Vincent says, for driving long distances, how do you take breaks, pit stops? How often? Are you asking me? Hold that thought, Vincent. We've got another superpower that will address that exact point in a little bit. Yuri said his 950-mile drive was close to 16 hours. Oh, that just sounds terrible. And Rewards Master said the advantage in our suburban kids was sleeping and no hotels. I got you. Probably before you got into points and miles in a meaningful way, I'm guessing. All right, let's go ahead and resume here. Number 5, I can pivot from trouble like a master. Got some changes going on at Des Moines Airport. Maybe that would cause problems. Probably not. I can turn delays and cancellations into opportunities. This was sent to me by Chad's Money Minutes, and he has visited all the Party Pass lounges. Now, I don't know if you're still on board, Chad, so I might mess this story up, but something like he was supposed to be going to Las Vegas, but got a cancellation, so he had to route through Sacramento, which allowed him to visit the last Party Pass lounge he'd never been to. So, hey, that's a way to make lemons out of lemonade. Oops, other way around. Lemonade out of lemons. And he also said I can do all my changes from the phone and avoid standing in the plebeian lines. I might have added the word plebeian, but basically, Chad is saying, and other people have said this kind of thing too. If something gets messed up, I'm really good at going to plan B, plan C, plan D, whatever I might need to go to. John says, as often as you want, another advantage of driving is you can stop and eat whenever you feel like it. That's true. Oh, that was in response to how often do you take breaks and pit stops? Yeah, there's that decision tree, fly versus drive. Vincent says, you can also retitle the slide, I can pivot from trouble like the Rewards Master. Oh yeah, I could have. I don't know, Rewards Master, how's your pivoting from trouble skills? Do you consider that one of your superpowers, maybe like an ancillary superpower? And there's lots of these that I think we all can find some commonality in, but some you really lean into, some you only kind of commiserate with. Number 6, I can sweet talk my way into free upgrades. There's a picture of the Intercontinental Hotel at the Wharf in Washington, D.C. My family stayed at a couple years ago. We got a free upgrade there. Now, normally this isn't my superpower. I'm not terrible at it, but I don't claim it. But in this case, I was like, do you have connecting rooms? I emailed back and forth. They're like, well, we don't have guaranteed connecting rooms. We'll try our best. I'm like, I've got a son with some medical stuff, and I'd really prefer to have connecting rooms. Like, well, our only connecting rooms available are suites and a side room. Like, well, it'd be really nice if I could get one of those. And not only did I get it, got a handwritten note from the manager. So that worked out. We're not talking about upgrades you earned. So if you have status, either through a credit card or through nights of stays, well, you're going to get upgraded because you deserve to get upgraded there. Or if you have it through an airline. I'm talking about like undeserved upgrades where you just sweet talk your way with the gate agent or the front desk clerk. I know Sledge has done this many times. At least he said he always asks for a free upgrade, and he said he gets it about half the time. I haven't talked to him about that recently, but I know a year or two ago he said something like that. So do you have any of you have stories of getting a undeserved upgrade because you're able to sweet talk your way into it? Family Truff John says, I think there's 2 Party Pass lounges in Sacramento, and they're both trash can, trash can, trash can. Oh, trash, trash, trash. Rewards Match said, I usually book 2 to 3 flights and cancel with delays or right before the other flights. All my points back. That's a huge advantage to having award flights, as you can get the whole thing back. Mike Newell says, that's an upgrade. Juan says, my wife loves the long road trips, probably because she doesn't have to get on a plane. Me, put me on a plane and get me there as fast as possible. The struggle is real. Ooh, that would cause some marital issues. My wife loves travel but hates flying. So she reluctantly accepts but isn't a fan of flying. Vincent says, I've been to the Escape Lounge at B Gates in SMF. I don't know if you can call it a lounge given its small footprint. Rewards Match says, don't start with the upgrades. I must have missed something here. Is there some sort of inside joke about the word upgrade I don't know about? Mike Newland throwing down the upgrade gauntlet. Okay. I'll have to take your word for it. I'm not sure what you're getting at there, guys. Number 7, I have a great sense of direction. So good I could be a tour guide like these two guys. I almost never get lost. That's supposed to say Mike N, not Mike M. Like Mike Newland, my benefactor, the guy who's on board right now. I have a great sense of direction. Mike Newland, never get lost. That is a superpower. GPS, who needs it? And I wrote down, tell the Daniel Boone home story. So a handful of years ago, I was in St. Louis. And if you drive about an hour west of St. Louis, you'll find the Daniel Boone home where he lived towards the end of his life and where he died. And there's sort of like a little historic village built up around it. I got there right as they were closing, and they told me, like, I can't do the official tour and I can't go in any of the buildings, but I'm more than welcome to walk the grounds. So this was like, I don't know, 4:30 in the afternoon on kind of a dreary day in the fall. So I started walking around, and I remember I was on the porch of this one specific house, not the Daniel Boone house itself, but another house on the property. Looked at my phone, just kind of got my bearings of where I was. And my battery was kind of low, not like super low. It was at like 13%. And put it in my pocket and just kind of sitting there looking out over, enjoying the nature, looking out the balcony. And when I was ready to leave that particular house, looked at my phone. It was dead. This was an older phone I had. And it had a problem where the battery would go from like 10% to 0 like that without any warning. And I'm like, oh, crap. I'm in rural Missouri and my phone is just dead. And I'm like, you know what, Doug? You are part of Gen X, maybe kind of on that Zennial, Gen X millennial boundary. You grew up before GPS was a thing. You grew up before phones were a thing. You can handle this. And in fact, I did. I finished walking around looking at all the buildings, couldn't take any pictures, got back in my car and just started driving on instinct. Now, the rental car envelope had one of those maps with like almost no detail, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm probably between this highway and this highway. So if I just go this way, and sure enough, I got there, found a town, walked into the gas station. I just said, I just want to confirm that if I stay on this road, it'll lead me to this highway. It's like, yeah, just keep going on this road. And 10 miles or so, you get to that one highway. And sure enough, I just committed to memory where my hotel was and drove an hour, no GPS, no phone, nothing, for a hotel I'd only been to once ever. So take that, Gen Z. Where was I? Okay, Vincent says, sometimes it can help to use Google Maps even when you know where you're going because it alerts you to traffic and sometimes road closures. Oh yeah, I use it by all means. I'm not saying I don't use my phone. I sure do. John says, we didn't like getting on planes when our kids were younger because the youngest was just a terror in public, so we drove everywhere. She's 11 now and a lot better, thankfully. Thankfully. New Again says, my travel powers, I can do economy seat for at least 9 hours. Patience for and ability to understand fine print. Weakness, the person sitting behind me on a plane or sitting next to me on the same row. I got you. Yeah, just dealing with economy for 9 hours. I don't know if I could ever do economy over 6 hours anymore. I don't know if I've ever flown economy for 6 hours. 4.5 going on 5 hours from Dallas to Puerto Rico. That was a stretch in economy. I had plain Jane, run-of-the-mill economy on the way there. I think I got extra leg room on the way back, but that about did me in. I have kind of a bad back. 7B, yes, there's 2 7s because I added one last minute. I can find good food and unique food. And this one was sent to me by Ian M., which makes sense. He is a professional chef. So he has a penchant for finding unique food and good food no matter where he is. That's all there is to that one. The 2 pictures here, the bottom left is that pork chop I had in Puerto Rico. It was good. Rewards Master knows what I'm talking about. Luke knows what I'm talking about. I don't remember what it was called. The item was called a can pork chop. I don't remember what the name of the restaurant was. Baranda's, something like that. And then the bottom right is the Monte Cristo from Bennigan's. Did you know there's only 6 proprietary sit-down Bennigan's left in the entire United States? We're going to have a meetup before Bennigan's goes out of business. Now, they have some other like carry-out only locations, but in terms of like sit-down, proprietary, Bennigan's on the sign, there's only 6 left in the United States. That's just kind of sad. Comment time. QC Man's here. How you doing, QC Man? Out there controlling the quality every day. I'm remembering my childhood with Dad pulling out the paper map he bought at a gas station to figure out the directions. Or if you were like us, you got an atlas from your car insurance company every year. It would have Farm Bureau or whatever printed right on it. One says, Dugroz, the travel hero that we need. Some of these apply to me, some of them don't. John says, I remember as a kid, my dad would always get a big Rand McNally road atlas from Santa for Christmas. That's what was used for road trips. That's the one, Rand McNally. I guess if you didn't get it from car insurance, maybe only Farm Bureau did that. Does anybody else remember getting that from car insurance? Tia Rico says, I'm a wizard for directions, surrounding awareness, and driving ability. I attribute it to Boy Scouts orientation. Awesome. Thanks, Tio. Rewards Master says, known as Superpower is booking seats A and C for us and getting the whole row to ourselves. Poor man's business class. Absolutely. That's a good one, too. Vincent says, if you see an In-N-Out, go there because they announced they won't be expanding. Okay, I will. Cesar, let me know it's called a chuleta, can pork chop. Thank you. Appreciate that. And QC Man drops 1 Dugroz Reports membership. Celebrate. Way to support the channel on a slightly gloomy day. Appreciate that, QC Man. Juan says, it seems like Nona has a bit of the upgrade superpower. Awesome. Mike Newland says, did somebody say upgrade? Again, there must be a inside joke that I'm not catching. So somebody can send me that later or put it on here. No problem. I love inside jokes, even the ones I don't get. Number 8, I can travel light. This is the closest picture I had to traveling light, and it's not very good, to be honest with you. I have a CPAP because I have sleep apnea, so I've almost always got to haul that stupid thing around. And then a lot of times I'll wear a crossbody bag for like my travel wallet and then have a suitcase on top of that. And then sometimes a backpack too. In fact, most of the time a backpack. So I only travel light in the sense of like, I don't use a checked bag, but I can't claim this one. Anthony Venture said right now he is planning to travel Japan on 2 backpacks and a duffel bag only. This is he and Mrs. Venture put together. So 2 people, 2 backpacks, 1 shared duffel bag, or maybe he just said drawstring bag, something like that. If you're on board, Anthony, let me know. Although it's probably, it's 8 p.m. over there. And then DEM says he has done a backpack trip across Europe using only a 45 milliliter backpack. That's metric system, so I have no idea what that means, but I'll assume it's a relatively compact backpack. I mean, in fact, the fact that it's a backpack at all is pretty impressive. Fist bump, says one. And Rewards Master says, upgrade talk, arg. Number 9, I'm never a stranger. This picture is at a little tiny local restaurant in Wales, Painscastle, Wales, called the Blue Ox Inn or something like that. And the guy on the far left side of the picture was maybe not a local, but like I think he grew up in this town and came back to visit frequently. And I went up and asked him like one minor question, and he just launched into like a 20-minute conversation with us. And it's just fun to talk to people. So yeah, never being a stranger is fun. But this was not my idea. So a stranger can, not being a stranger, I can strike up a conversation with anyone. I can relate to almost anyone, anywhere. This one was sent by Mike Newland. So makes sense. Mike is super friendly guy with his funds and also friendly with his conversation. Number 10, this is the one I said to come back to, Vincent. I have an iron bladder. Pro, no brakes needed. No need to use the airplane bathroom. This one was sent to me by Ron B. Said he can go a really long time, road trips, airplanes, not using the bathroom. I mean, when I flew to Puerto Rico, the 2 guys sitting next to me never went to the bathroom the entire time, 4.5, 5 hours. I'm like, how do you do that? And they drank like 2 things of alcohol each. So this is not my superpower. In fact, in my family, there's 4 of us. So myself and one of my sons got small bladder syndrome where we have to pee constantly. So you asked me earlier, Vincent, how often do I stop for a bathroom break? Like driving between Des Moines and Chicago, which on paper is like 6.5 hours. it's a miracle if we can keep it to 2 stops. More likely 3 is the bare minimum, 4 is possible. So we're stopping like every hour and a half to 2 hours. If it's late at night and people are drifting in and out of sleep, maybe a little better. Trains are one of the worst places to go to the bathroom. At the bottom, I got a picture of the subway in London, the bottom right. There's probably no bathrooms on the subway, or overground in this case. Bottom middle is a train in the United Kingdom, the Trans-Pennine Express. Bottom left is Amtrak in Springfield, Illinois. I went to the bathroom on both of these places. The train in England, it wasn't a great bathroom. It's kind of okay. Trains are one of the worst places to use the bathroom. And then the Amtrak story. So if you've ever been on an Amtrak car, I've only done it twice, but like there's the upstairs level and the downstairs level. And the one I was on, you had to go to the downstairs level to use the bathroom. This was my first time between Ottumwa, Iowa and Galesburg, Illinois, like 3.5, 4 hours by train, something like that. You have to go to the downstairs level, and there's like this room for like wheelchairs and handicap. There's like a luggage storage room. Then there's this really narrow hallway with a couple bathrooms on each side. And the bathroom itself was like tiny. It was like worse than an airplane bathroom, but even worse, that narrow hallway. So like there was a young lady coming out as I was going in. And I guess we both panicked, or at least I panicked, instead of like thinking, oh, one of us should back up. Like either she backs up into the bathroom or I back up into the luggage area, one of the two. We both just kept walking forward. So we like I think she faced the wall, I faced the wrong way. So like, yeah, there was way too much personal contact as we went past each other. I'm glad she didn't file a accusation suit or something like that against me. Mike says you just need a hotel with a laundry room. That's it. That's one of my few needs, but you're definitely right about that. QC Man is celebrating 25 months of membership. Way to go, QC Man. Celebrate. You probably got to be in the top 10. QC Man says short domestic trip, always take carry-on only. Yep, pack light. Rewards Match said it took 20 years, but now Nona can do 10 days with only a carry-on if I put her shoes in my bag. There you go. QC Man says they were wearing diapers, Doug. The two guys next to me flying to San Juan. John says traveling light is not my superpower. I always bring my full-size pillow from home in my check bag since hotel pillows can be so hit or miss. Oh, man. I'm a pillow guy, too. I don't travel with one. I used to travel with like an exercise wheel. I gave that up after the Des Moines airport had to like super inspect it twice. I'm getting better over time, but it's not my superpower either. Erie says, I have a few pieces of luggage I acquired recently for traveling with only 1 or 2 pieces. There you go. Sorry, I'm having problems with my shoe here. Kind of like the shoelace is all messed up. And Yuri G says, I have trash bags, landfill messenger, Chrome Barrage Pro, Manhattan Portage Empire. Trash bags, landfill messenger sounds like it's made up, but I'm gonna look into it offline. I took a screenshot. Thank you so much to the 55 people who've stayed on board. I think we got 6 more of these to go. Let's check them out. Sorry. Number 11, I can direct large groups. Hey, there's a large group there. That looks like New Orleans. That's a bunch of us. You probably recognize half the people in that picture there in front of that famous church down in NOLA. Cesar and 11 family members. So Cesar said he is taking 11 family members on a trip, or maybe already did, and he's doing all the directing, which makes sense. He was sort of like our tour guide last fall. And I do it with 4 of us. Now, that's a lot less impressive. So you know that meme out there about like, there's always 2 people in every relationship. One of them's like triple checking, double checking everything. The other one, like while we're driving to the airport, now remind me where we're going. That's our family. My wife wants to give input, but she doesn't want to do any of the planning. So I'm like, all right, everybody get in the car. We're driving to this random monument or this castle or whatever. All of the creator meetup hosts plus Xavier have the superpower. I know that. So the first year Las Vegas, that was kind of a Luke thing. New Orleans was kind of a Chad thing. Puerto Rico was a Cesar thing. And then Tony will be doing it for us in Charleston this year. And then Xavier, if you don't know Xavier, he's in the bottom left picture, the bearded fellow with me here. There is a legendary story that I was a part of, but I was towards the back of the group, so I didn't personally observe it, where we had like 33 people or something like that wanting to eat late night at a Hilton restaurant, and they weren't going to let us, but somehow, using Xavier's superpower, he was able to direct the large group and get us all in. QC Man says, you think Amtrak bathrooms are bad? Don't ever use Greyhound. That's kind of funny because one of the local TV shows, not TV shows, it's a radio show that has moved to podcast format here in the Des Moines, Iowa area called, not here, I'm in West Virginia, my hometown, Des Moines, Iowa, my current town. In Des Moines, Iowa, there's a podcast show called Murph and Andy. It's mostly sports talk, but they talk about other stuff too, sports and more. They did the Sweet 16 of worst places to take a public dump. And I think one of the final four matchups was Greyhound bus without stopping versus dive bar at closing time. And then the final was dive bar at closing time versus porta potty at a summer music festival. And porta potty at a summer music festival ended up winning the worst place to take a poo competition. Yuri says trash bags are all handmade by order. Okay. Tony Byer is here. I don't remember if we've met or not. Tony, how you doing? Happy to have you on board. Cesar says, yep, I've coordinated 7 to 11 family member vacations several times using points and miles. Awesome. Way to go. Can I be an honorary family member? I mean, we are bros. Next time you get within 3 or 4 states, let me know. I'll tag along maybe. Number 12, I can be extremely frugal. I actually had several people send me this one. So if I left you off, please don't take it personally. Some of it was just, I had bad cell phone connection. I couldn't see all of them. Smuggling food out of a lounge. Now you want to be careful because sometimes they don't like that very much. But are you one of the people who will, go to a lounge and get several sandwiches? Somebody in the comments said they tried to do that at Capital One and they got all mad. But yeah, I've seen people before, next to the beverages, they'll have that container, like a half-gallon container filled with nuts. They'll just scoop and scoop and scoop and scoop and put them in their purse. How about driving to the airport to get Spirit tickets more cheaply? This was sent in by Dugroz diehard Chad Pennycuff. Are you on board, Chad? If you are, wave or put a comment if you watch this down below. So apparently, I didn't know this. Spirit Airlines, who might be getting bailed out by the federal government, when you get a little closer to departure, they want to fill all the seats, so they will sell them at a discount. But if you get them online, you have to pay a processing fee of $20 or $30. If you drive to the airport and buy them in person, you get to save that processing fee. And I think he said I can frequently get round trip tickets from to and from Orlando for $40 to $60, something like that, by doing that. I didn't have a screenshot of Spirit Airlines handy, so I used this Hughes West photo my grandma took in 1982 instead. Close enough. And then bringing a sack lunch on purpose or packing in advance. Now, I don't mean stopping and buying a sandwich at a store or gas station. I'm talking you planned a trip, either a road trip or something like that. Mom or you made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or ham sandwiches, put them in a sack lunch or a cooler, and you are not paying for food. This is grocery store prices only, that type of sack lunch. We've done that a little bit, so I'm kind of in the middle ground. I can be extremely frugal. May your spending be frugal, because I want my points to be plenteous. But I'm not super, super frugal. Now, this was sent to me by Jason S. He's a friend from church, and he is very frugal about that kind of thing. He and his family, he's got a wife and 3 kids. They might drive to Oklahoma City from Iowa and not buy food once the entire time. My family did this a lot when I was growing up. My wife's family even more so. My wife grew up in a pastor's family. So yeah, some of you can relate to this. If you've worked in charitable work, missions work, church work, pastoral ministry, missionaries, you don't have much of a budget. So you're bringing peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on lots of trips. The other 2 pictures here, this is when I flew into St. Louis and drove to Springfield, Illinois. Same thing I'm doing now. I ate a hotel breakfast in St. Louis, and then the only thing I had between breakfast and like a 7 p.m. supper was I stopped at Burger King, got a small shake and like 4 cheesy tots for like $6. So that's not as frugal as a sack lunch, but it's still a little bit frugal. I get a little bit of credit for it, right? Warren's Master says, I took a group of 27 from church to Rome. It was like herding cats. Wouldn't want to do that. Although my church took a group of like 50 people on an outing once, but that wasn't to Rome. That was just Indianapolis and Kentucky and some other stuff. QC Matt says, Xavier just gave him the mean stare and you all guys got in. My understanding is that's how it worked. Cesar's excited about me joining his family as an honorary member. QC Man says, I think the Summer Music Festival would be the worst. That's probably why it won for taking a public dump. QC Man says, that's odd. Capital One basically gives you bags and encourages you to take stuff when I go there. Surprised to hear that happen to someone. Yeah, whoever put that in the comment originally, if you're still on board, let me know. I don't remember exactly how it worked. I don't want to misrepresent. QC Man also says, definitely want Spirit to survive and American and United not to merge. More competition is good for us consumers. Didn't the TSA or Department of Transportation, Sean Duffy, whoever it is, already announced they're not going to they're not even going to entertain the American United merger thing? That had to just be a ploy, right? For them to like, sort of like a negotiating tactic. Like, well, if you won't let us merge with American, at least let us merge to JetBlue or something like that. Newigan says, I have an iron bladder too, and I have a great frugal eye, though I do ball out about 2 to 4 days a year. I hear you. Back to the presentation. 4 more to go. Oh, I missed one. Jason S. also says he can drive a stick shift, and that's an example of frugality. Now, I'm not sure exactly where that comes into play with travel. Jason's not really into points of miles like we are, so maybe he was just thinking in general. But it did make me think, like, when I was in the United Kingdom, they do specifically ask if you want a manual or an automatic, and the manual was almost always about 10 pounds cheaper per day. So there is some frugality there. If you can drive a stick shift, you'll save a little bit. I haven't driven a stick shift since like 2001. And I only learned on a friend's truck, and I only did it maybe 3 to 5 times. So I can't drive a stick shift. And then value menu loyalist, Burger King, etc. Already talked about that. Number 13, I am a Tetris packer. So my family has all carry-on bags that are the same size. You can see it in the picture there. And in the size of rental car you have in the United Kingdom, they fit perfectly 4 abreast. For road trips, pack anything my wife wants to bring. Jason S. again, and he also said something like, that's the superpower lots of dads have. And then the fun of matching carry-on sizes. So just when your carry-ons are all the same size. My wife wanted black. Us boys all got the blue and gray, but they're all the same size. Carry-on only helps here. If you can avoid taking any checked bags, playing Tetris, your bags becomes a little bit easier. QC Man says, so your wife's dad wasn't a rich megachurch pastor, huh? No, about as opposite as you can get there. I think the church that he was pastoring when my wife and I met started out with like 13 members or something like that. All right, moving on here. Number 14, I can fit in almost any seat. I didn't really have a good picture for this, so I just got some pictures of some airplanes in general. Let's see. This is definitely not me. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm a little bit of a thick boy. I guess the one thing I have going for me is if you're going to be a thick boy, my thick boy dimensions are more front to back, not as much side to side. I've got a little thickness side to side. The quote was, my wife and I fit comfortably in economy seats. And that was sent to me by Stan the Credit Frog. That actually can be an advantage because I know like tall people or thick boys or anyone, sometimes those economy seats get pretty uncomfortable. I remember I was standing in line at a rental car counter or somewhere in Charlottesville, Virginia, And there was a guy who was pretty husky talking, and he's like, "Oh, so you flying out tomorrow?" "Yeah, I'm flying out tomorrow." "Oh, you flying out here in town?" He's like, "No, I'm going to drive to Richmond." Man, all the planes that fly into Charlotte are those little regional jets, the Canadair jets. I just can't fit in those, man. And he talked kind of like that. Like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. QCM says, refraining from making four abreast jokes. Abreast is one word, and it just means across. Mike Newland says, the question is, can you drive a stick from the right side of the car? That's a good point, because even if you can drive a stick shift in America, you'd have to get used to switching hands over in the UK. Luke says, fitting comfortably in an economy seat is victim weight. Go do some squats. Okay. Will do. Thanks, Luke. Appreciate it. Number 14. Number 15. I am a hummingbird vacationer. And this was sent to me by another church friend, Chad J. I don't mind changing hotels every night. To be more specific, I like to be as close as possible to the stuff I want to do rather than parking at a home base. This is probably as close as we got to a hummingbird type vacation is when last time we were in York, UK. We stayed at the Hampton Inn right there within the city walls at the bottom. I don't think this is exactly what he means, but for 3 days, we just walked everything. This is the opposite of my family. So if you consider this to be a superpower, this is definitely not one that my family has, because I don't really like changing hotels constantly. In this trip, I'm doing 2 nights at one place, 2 nights at another place. I would rather just do 4 nights at another place. I like to take my stuff out, unpack. I even sometimes put my clothes in the drawers and stuff, but it's a little harder to do when you're only away from home for 4 nights. And you have to use up credits and stuff. Another reason I don't really like hotel credits. Just give me the points. But yeah, if you are somebody that doesn't mind packing and unpacking constantly, you can actually get closer to the action. I know, like Rick Steves suggested, if you're going around Europe, be constantly on the move, stay close to the action, don't stay out in the suburbs. If you want to go to downtown Venice, stay right in downtown Venice. Even if it's a smaller, less comfortable hotel, it'll be worth it. That kind of stuff. Number 16, this is the last one. I'm a diva and it doesn't bother me. So I couldn't really think of what picture to use for this. So this is the closest one that I came up with, me reading a book in Puerto Rico. Quote, I need space, food, and pampering. Filmo. So I wasn't exactly sure how that was a superpower, but the conclusion I came to is not having a feeling of guilt is a superpower. So if you're dropping $100 on meals and just blowing all your points at once and you don't feel guilty about it, that in and of itself is a superpower. I don't have the superpower because I have to maximize and min-max and have maximum efficiency for everything. So I thought that was a good one to end on. And I think that is the last one. Yes, it is the last one. All right. We'll catch up on comments and then transition over to our community tab questions. Calder says, my opinion is that it's less about whether you fit into an economy seat and whether the people next to you can. That's a good point. I actually saw a YouTube video once about, I don't remember what it was about, something about airplane seats, but in the comment section, somebody said, I'm very petite. I'm like 5'1", 110 pounds. And I will sometimes volunteer to sit between big people because it really doesn't bother me at all. And I think to myself, God bless you, whoever you are, because we need more people like that. Vincent says, driving stick is a superpower in and of itself. Yeah. New Again says, I can change hotels frequently, but it can be more of an inconvenience and sometimes add stress with player 2. Yeah. I don't love changing hotels frequently. My wife really dislikes changing hotels frequently. Repositioning flights within Europe or within the US, not popular. Nurakan says, my wife does the driving when the steering wheel is on the right side, especially when it's a manual. She's a pro. Well, hey, marry into a superpower. Why would you take this seriously? I don't think we've met before. Why would you take this seriously? Good to have you on board. Says, one time I drove San Diego, California to Des Moines in about 38 hours of actual travel time. Sorry, I used the wrong finger there. That was not meant to be directed at you. I don't know why I just had itchiness and panicked. Yeah, driving from San Diego to Des Moines in 38 hours. Whoo, I could never do that. QC Man says, of course, Filmo's a diva. Mike Newland says, what a sacrifice the person who is willing to take. Yeah, that petite person. John says, I cackled so hard at victim weight. Good thing they're cleaning the hallway carpet in this Hampton Inn. I would have gotten some looks towards my room. Maybe there's an inside joke there I'm not familiar with. Apologize if I'm not picking up what you're laying down. I often don't pick up what is being laid down, but that's okay. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. All right, that brings the theme of the day to the end. Thanks for hanging in there. We will now go ahead and hop into the community tab questions. So every Friday, usually it's somewhere between about 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Central Time, I will post on my community tab a place where you can guess where the picture was taken, but you can also ask me questions. So let's share this tab right here. There we go. So there is the picture. Who is that young man? Well, that is me, actually, from a while ago. I think this picture was taken in probably either late 2010 or early 2011. At that time, for only about 2 years, my in-laws were living in Colorado, and my wife and I drove out there. I had to drive back separately. So I guess I've kind of given it away. This is somewhere between Colorado and Iowa, or inclusive of one of those places. And this was before I was even into points and miles. So here's a sign that says, welcome to the, and I've blanked out the rest of it. And then here's a second picture that says Adobe Home. So you're supposed to guess where that picture was taken. Haramuntz says Adobe House, Norton, Kansas. Ding, ding, ding. That's correct. Now, that's one of the two pictures, but you got to identify the other one to get full credit. I'll give you half credit. So you get 500 Dugroz points. Bob Travel says you stopped by the Robert J. Oppenheimer house that he lived in while at Los Alamos. You left disappointed because the aliens were unfriendly and rude to you. That's a great guess, Bob. Scott S. says, what's your yearly goal for generating Chase UR points for Aeroplan? Maxing 2 Freedom Flexes for 60K? I would love to max out 2 different Freedom Flexes for 60K, but I usually can't. Usually it's just the grocery and gas category that I can max out. So that would be, what's that come out to? 7,500 each, double that. You got 15,000, 15,000 times 2, 30,000. I can probably do that times 1.5. So maybe around like 45,000 per year is my goal. Now that sign-up bonuses are hard to come by, kind of have to do it with everyday spend or something like that. QC Man notes that I had fancy sideburns back in 2010. I sure did. That's before I went full beard, just goatee only. Before I had to wear glasses, so I was able to wear regular people glasses instead of those old man glasses. YouTube Experiment is on board, driving but listening. Thanks for feeding the algorithm. I appreciate it. Ron Burns says, it looks like a modern home made of dirt. Since you live in Iowa, have you ever owned John Deere clothing? I know they have a big footprint in that state. Yes, my dad actually worked at John Deere. And some other people, Haramuntz and Ron, joking about stereotypical looks like grass hanging out of their mouth. You've been farming long. Going with the Mr. Roz persona, the thing about stereotypes is that they're normally true. There are some of those in Iowa, but I always lived in the part of Iowa that was like Ottumwa, where I grew up, was a Rust Belt type town, you know, manufacturing kind of seen its better days. So they made John Deere's there. My dad grew up on a farm when he was a kid, but I never lived on a farm ever. And then Des Moines is just your typical American, you know, 500,000 size city. Nothing particularly different about it in terms of culture. So that's it. Nobody, the first person, Haramuntz, guessed the house correctly. It is the Adobe House in Norton, Kansas. So if you're driving from Colorado to Iowa, if you go through kind of the northwest corner of Kansas, there's a couple different ways to get there. That's one way to get there. I think I spent the night at a sleep-in Norton or something like that. Because I don't have the driving long distance superpower, instead of doing one 10-hour trip, I broke it up a little bit. But then this other one, let's see if I saved the picture somewhere. I know I downloaded it, but I think I put it in the wrong folder. So bear with me just a second. Here it is right here. So here's what it says, unredacted. Welcome to the geographic center of the 48 states. So this location is known as the geodetic center of the contiguous U.S. states. If I Google it here, center of lower 48 states. We'll look at the YouTube argument here. The geographic center of the United States. Oh, nope. I want the one near Lebanon, Kansas. Got the wrong one here. There we are. Geographic center of the lower 48 states. All right. So I want to see the map. What are you doing? Give me the map. There it is. Open it in Google. Finally. Okay. So right here, the geographic center of the United States. This is the lower 48 states, kind of in the middle of nowhere. So right here, if you're driving from Colorado Springs, Colorado, you take whatever this highway is right here, get off, cut up here, go through Nebraska. You'll go not too far from this place, Lebanon, Kansas, and you just go a little bit off the highway, about a mile right there. It's called the geographic center of the United States. This is such a nerdy thing. They don't really have a lot. There's a abandoned hotel there. Somebody actually thought this would be a tourist attraction, and it said like back in like the 50s and 60s, this location got literally like thousands of visitors every year. Now it gets like 3 a day or something like that. But yeah, there's a monument somebody made at some point. If you look over here, you'll probably see that sign. Nope, there's just a trash can. There's the highway you come down. There's a little chapel there you can go in, like a one-person chapel. There's the sign I posed in front of right there. Welcome to the geographic center of the United States. Only the lower 48 states, when Alaska and Hawaii became states, it threw all of that off. But it is still a place that you can visit if you are interested in random roadside monuments, as the Dugroz on the Point song says, which you can download from Bandcamp, dugroz.bandcamp.com, link in the description box. I will go through everybody who made a contribution, and we can celebrate those together. And just a reminder, tip jar link down below. Check out Nest Bedding Mattress for other ways to support my channel. Tom Graber gifted 1 Dugroz Reports membership. George Rommel gave $4.99. Mike Newland came in strong and donated 20 memberships. John donated 1 membership. Juan Garcia earned the coveted 1,000 Dugroz points by donating exactly $1.49. QC Man gifted a membership and celebrated his 25 months of membership. And I'll check the tip jar really quick to make sure there's no new tippers. None today. Oh, well. And then I got just a couple other comments to catch up on here. Where are we? I already talked about my fancy sideburns. LTTG0242 says, I can travel whenever. I'm not tied to certain times of the year. Low and shoulder is a superpower. It kind of is. Like if you have like a super flexible job or you're retired, being able to travel whenever is great. One of the things that kind of frustrates me sometimes is you watch like YouTubers or bloggers thing. They'll like, I'm going to show you just how valuable flying Blue Miles are. Let's say you want to fly to Vienna, Austria. Well, look right here. There's 2 seats in business class the first week in February. I'm like, a lot of us can't travel the first week in February. We can travel like Christmas and summer, and that's it. So show me some summer ones. It's like, there are no summer ones. So yeah, if you can travel shoulder season, actually what I do right now in April and October is kind of like shoulder season, depends on where you're going. Less people and the weather's perfect. So I love traveling off peak when I can. Can't do it with my family because my kids are in school and my wife's a teacher. QC Man says, if there's a Whole Foods near you and you're not an Amazon person, you can do some strategery buying gift cards at Whole Foods when the Flex has Amazon as a category. I think that's right now, actually. Do they have the very strategic kind of gift cards? Yuri wants to ask, is Wells Fargo counted as Amazon? Excuse me, as Whole Foods counted as Amazon? Yes, it does, Yuri. I think they only sell $100 Visa gift cards, though. Hey, Chad, how you doing? Chad Pentecost on board. I mentioned your superpower about driving to the airport to buy Spirit tickets earlier, if you want to go back and find that. Mike says, what souvenir do you guys collect from every trip, like magnets or a sticker? I don't have one. I take pictures at presidents' graves. I just take a lot of pictures. I don't really have a dedicated souvenir. My mom and sister, when we traveled when I was a kid, used to collect bells and spoons. I don't know if this is still a big thing, but back in the 80s and 90s, like every tourist trap had like a spoon with the name of the state like engraved on the handle, like a little piece of plastic with it stamped on there. and you get little decorative bells that had it too. I collected keychains when I was a kid, don't really anymore. I actually had a phase where I collected business cards as a kid. I thought it was hilarious to take a business card from like every single place I could find that had a business card. For a while, I had like 400 of them. It's kind of random and funny. All right, last chance to make your contributions. We're going to go now. It is 11:36 Central Time, 12:36 Eastern Time, and I got some sights to see and some stuff to do. So I might catch a quick nap, but then I'm going to head on out and doggone, I'm going to walk across that bridge. You guys hold me accountable. I'll let you go. May your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Thanks.